Hello, everyone, and welcome. Here we are on another live. Today, I want to start by, as usual, bringing you here and now. Because I don't know about you, when we are so busy in life, we tend to be not here. Where are we then? You might be asking. You tell me, where are you? If you ask me, I'm usually most of the time thinking about my past. And I like to say I'm thinking about the good stuff in my past, but most of us don't do that. We think about our past, the things that happened that we could fix. We shouldn't have done it like that. We could have done it like this. We go back and we replay, and we are so caught up in the details. So we spend quite a bit of our time in the past, right? I know some of us have hard time even admitting that we spend quite a bit of in the past, but that's okay because sometimes it starts everything. Every awareness comes with denial first, right? But if you think about it today, just think about your life today. Have you thought about anything from the past that kept you in the past and kept you there so that you couldn't do anything here and now? Because here and now, in this moment, is what we can do something because that's the moment we have. But as human beings, we tend to think about our past and we get caught up in the past and then we replay it so many times thinking how we could have done it better or should have gone different ways, right? So, what does that do though? If you keep doing that, it keeps you away from now and here, right? It also keeps you stuck, it keeps you paralyzed. Anybody can relate to that, right? It keeps us paralyzed. So, what can we do about the past? Can we change it? No, we can't change it. It's already happened. So why are we replaying it? Because we're trying to change it, right? We're trying to see if we could have done better. Because that's what humans do. We want to go back and we want to rewind and watch again, or some people use the chapter, read the same chapter again and again and again, thinking that we could rewrite it some other way. But it's the past, it's happened, you cannot do anything about it. So what can you do? Just take the lessons and you need to let it go. You have to let it go. We all have to let it go. Now, if you think about the other side, is the future. A lot of us also think about our future, which is great, right? We should think about our future because it's a great thing to plan and set some intention and look at the future with a lot of positive things, right? But I don't know about you, most of us, including myself, a lot of time I can catch myself projecting my past onto my future and thinking my future through those lenses from the past. And if you do that, and if we remember a lot of bad things from the past, and we think about the future through those lens, can you imagine what we're planning for our future? No wonder, like, there's a lot of those statements, right? Like, what if this happens? What if that happens? Now, if we start planning our future with all the what ifs and all the worries and uncertainty, do you think that's a great future to look forward to? No, we're just going to create anxiety. No wonder so many people have anxiety right now, right? So what can we do with the future? We can think about the future. It's really important to set intentions. I don't set goals. I set intentions for my future. That's great. But then we can't keep thinking about it. We have to bless it and we have to release it because it's available to you, it's available to me, it's available to everyone. So we can't really focus on that because if I keep focusing on my future, again, I'm not here in this moment to do something because this is the only moment you have, I have, all of us have to do something, right? This is the moment where we can learn. This is the moment we can live. And this is the moment we can lead ourselves and others. So I want you to bring yourself now and here. So first thing is to catch yourselves from thinking about the past, thinking about the future, bringing yourself here. Now, in order to really ground yourself and myself to being here and now, we can also use our breath. Now, we all breathe every day, every second, right? We're breathing, but we don't really pay attention to our breathing. And we're doing very, very short breaths. And then sometimes we don't even really notice we're even breathing, right? So I want you to notice your breathing right now. You've been stressed, maybe you've been working all day. Maybe your children are giving you a hard time. Maybe you're in the classroom, the students were not, behaving. Whatever it is, I just want you to bring yourself here and now with me and then breathe. So let's inhale for 4. and hold for 4. And I want you to exhale through your mouth and release everything that you've been carrying it through your mouth. Let it go for 8. And let any stress, any worry, any fear, any doubts, anything that you've been carrying, just let it go and let it out. Now let's do that again. Inhale for 4. And hold for 4. And then exhale for 8 through your mouth, letting go anything and everything that doesn't belong in your life. Because we tend to hold on to things, right? So let it go through your mouth. Now you might be thinking, this is silly. Why are we breathing? No, trust me. When you start noticing your breaths and when you spend time with your breaths and you really feel it, it actually brings you here and now. That's why I'm trying to do this with you, so that you can be here and now with me, because I have something to share. I have something to share, very important to share today. So let's do that one more time. Inhale for 4. Hold for 4. And then let it go. Exhale for 8 through your mouth. Let everything go. So now we're here. Do you feel? Do you feel that? Do you feel how settled you are? This is how you can bring yourself from being in the past or being in the future and bringing yourself now. Because in the now is where you can really learn. Adults or young children, doesn't matter. We can only learn in the now, in the present, right? We can't learn in the past or in the future. Now is when I can learn, and now is when I can live my life and enjoy it. And now is the place I can lead myself and others. So that's why the now is so important. So welcome. So what do I want to talk about today? What are we going to talk about today? So I want to talk to teachers, educators. I want to talk to parents about something very important. And that is, we're talking about a lot of emotions, big emotions, right? We're hearing the word a lot of time in our space. We're hearing that word from parents and teachers, educators, that big emotions are coming out of little children, little kids, big emotions. That's very interesting, even the word, right? Big emotions. And now big emotions equals, if they have big emotions, that means they're getting triggered, and they're exploding with behaviors and exposing different behaviors that never been seen. So that means that we think about, there has to be a consequence for these behaviors, right? Of course. I mean, consequence is so important. Otherwise, how can they learn? How will they learn? It's so important. So I want to talk about this, big emotions plus consequences, because as a society, we know that every behavior, every action we should look at consequences if they're not appropriate, right? So before we begin, we took the breath. So you're here and now with me, so that's good. So one of the concerning things I hear from teachers, parents all the time is that if children don't experience or have consequences for their behavior, what are we teaching them? What are we teaching them? This is a real concern, right? Because parents want their children to learn responsibility. We want to make sure that children at school knows that there are consequences for certain behaviors. So before I talk about the children of today, or our students of today, I want you to think about your own childhood. Go back to your own childhood. Remember when we were young? Think about that time. When you got in trouble as a child, what happened? What happened to your systems? As a holistic neurogrowth learning success coach training other people now, one of the things I look at it, I don't look behaviors. I look at it through the soul print biology, because we're a living system. So what was happening to your systems, your biological systems, when you got in trouble as a child? I remember being terrified. I remember being like, I got caught, right? What do I do? And they're going to get mad at me. All these things would go through my head, right? What about you? What went through your head when you got in trouble? Now, what were the consequences you got at home for getting in trouble? Do you remember those consequences? Taking things away from you, maybe grounding, not able to do things that you liked. You know, think about those times when you got to experience some consequences as a child. What happened? What was it like? How did it feel? Now, what happened at school when a teacher was upset with you? Something happened at school, maybe. Remember those times? Maybe you were a good kid and you never got in trouble, but some of you might have. What happened when somebody got upset at you? In those moments, how did you feel? Did you feel understood? Did we feel understood or did we feel judged? Right? Did the consequence help you learn? Did it help me learn? Or did it make us feel small? Did it make me small? Did it make me feel small? I have to say yes. When those consequences were given to me, I felt like I was made to feel small and I was feeling judged. I was being judged. How about yourself? I just want you to think about it, because in order to understand what our children are going through, what our students are going through, it's always good to relate to what did we go through, right? Because it's a great way to notice and feel. So how did you feel? Did it make you feel small? Did it make you feel like you were being judged? Did it help you want to do better? Did the consequences make you want to do better? Sometimes people say it did. Some people say that my parents were very strict. The consequence actually made me want to do better. But did it make you better because of you were scared for what might happen? Because in the back in the day, some of the consequences were also physical, right? So maybe you were scared. I'm not sure what it was for you. Or did it make you want to hide mistakes and hide your feelings and hide and never tell anyone? What was it like? Did you want to hide or did you want it to be more open and go and get help? Why I'm asking this is because it's important how we felt to relate to what our children are going through, our students are going through, right? So when we're looking at these moments, did you feel closer to the adult after they gave you a consequence for what you did? Or did you feel further away from them? Did these consequences push you away from the person who actually gave you those, or did you get closer to that adult? Now, how about if it happened with your teacher? Did you feel safe talking to that teacher again? If it happened at school, maybe the principal, did you feel like that was something you can go back to that teacher again? And did you feel like telling your parents when something went wrong? I wanted to take you to your childhood so you can understand what I'm going to share with you now. So when our children are having big emotions and reactions like yelling, shutting down, refusing, melting down, angry, maybe throwing things, right? Some teachers are experiencing kids are very angry. They're hitting others and they're throwing desks and chairs. It's also happening, right? So when kids are having big emotions and reactions, their nervous system moves into protection mode. They're not thinking at this stage, right? In this state, the thinking brain goes offline. Their thinking brain goes offline and their survival brain takes over. And when the brain is in survival, learning cannot happen. Do you remember when, as I was asking you, go back to that place where you were you really thinking at the time when you were getting that consequence and getting in trouble? Or were you like offline and you didn't want to hear anything from anybody? How did you feel? That's what's happening to our children too, our students too. They're in survival and learning cannot happen. So the real question is not whether consequences matter, right? The real question is not that consequences matter, and children do need responsibility, right? They do. But the deeper question is the child's brain or student or the child's brain ready to learn from that consequence yet? So it's not that there's no consequence for action. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm asking, when we are giving the consequence at that time, we have to ask a deeper question: is that child's brain ready to learn from the consequence yet? And when we know that answer, then we can move forward. So let me ask that question again. When you see a child did something wrong and you know they have to take their responsibility and you know that consequences matter, but if you just go with that and say, this is what we're going to do now, this is what's going to happen for your actions, this is it. They're offline. They don't understand what you're saying to them. They're not even comprehending. They're fully shut down. Do you think that's better? Or is the question better to ask is the child's brain ready to learn from this consequence yet? Because the whole point of consequence is we want them to learn from it, right? But if the brain is offline, they're in protection mode, they're not going to learn from it. So what is the point of the consequence? So most systems look at the behavior and ask, most people, most systems, they look at the behavior and ask, how do we stop this behavior? That's what they ask. We always talk about behaviors, right? But in our coaching, in our holistic neurogrowth success coaching, all of our coaches would not ask that. They would ask something different. And what would they ask? They would ask, what is happening inside the child that created that behavior? What is happening at the system level that's creating that behavior? Because behavior is not just something somebody decides that they're going to show or, output. It's created by something else in that biological system. We are all biological system. We are controlled by different systems. So that what system is creating that behavior? Now we're not looking at this child as bad behavior. We're looking at what is upsetting this child's, the systems, what system is upsetting this child so that they are displaying this behavior. So do you see how that shifts? Because that shift is so important. And because behavior is often a signal, right? It's a signal. Behavior is a signal. It's not the root problem, and there is a cause to it because we're a living system. We're always bombarded with so many variables. We don't know what is affecting the system to display this behavior. Now we just call it a behavior, then we're looking at it like, why is this person have such a bad behavior? Do you see the difference? There's no compassion when we call it a bad behavior. But when we call it, this system is in stress, what's going on? Now we have compassion for that system. And it's a signal. So in our coaching, as holistic neurogrowth success coaches, the order is different. We always want to help the child, the student, regulate their systems first. So we're not just talking about nervous system. Everybody talks about nervous system, right? I'm talking about, we look at it through 12 different systems that this person is made out of, that is helping us, be the person we are. And then we need to regulate them. We need to know what is being suppressed, what is being offline, and we need to help them regulate that. That's the first step, help the child regulate all their systems. Then we need to do something else very important, which is we need to make them feel safe and understood. Because think about it. Have you ever done anything when you felt unsafe? Can you do anything when you're feeling unsafe? No one can do anything, right? Can you do anything when you're feeling not understood? Nope. We shut down, further shut down, right? So number one is to regulate their systems. Number two is to make them feel safe and understood. Number three, then we can help them reflect and take responsibility. So currently the order is opposite, right? We want to immediately go to asking them to reflect and take responsibility. But they're shut down. Their system is not working. It's offline. Have you ever tried getting online when the internet's not working? You can hit all the buttons you want on your keyboard, right? Nothing is going to come online. The internet is not working. So it's like that. So no wonder we're seeing more behaviors, right? When we give them responsibility and ask them to think about this, when their brain, everything is shut down, they can't think, and they're in protective mode, how can we move forward? Seems like then then we also say, like, they're not taking responsibility. They're not understanding their own actions, right? So what do children need? What do students need? They need guidance. So when we guide them, then they can learn, because they can come back, and when they're being understood, and then systems return to online, right? We get them online, activated in alignment. We can really then look at them, to guide them to look at what their actions are. So when children makes mistake, do we want them to learn from us, or do we want them to be afraid of us? That's a question for all of you as parents, educators, right? So when children do make mistakes, or maybe we don't even call them mistakes anymore, they have big emotions, and they're not behaving. When we want to address that, do we want to guide them to learn from us, or do we want to guide in a way that makes them afraid of us? Because the answer to that question shapes the adult they become, who they're going to become, right? Our kids, they're going to learn from that, how we're going to deal with that. Now, I talk about consequences today because I hear a lot of educators who are really burned out by very big emotions in their classrooms that they're not trained to handle, because these behaviors that they're dealing with have changed over the years, and so are at home. Parents are dealing with the similar situation at home as well. So immediate thing with parenting and at school, as teachers, as adults, we want to give them consequences. But I want you to change that. I want you to look from a different perspective. I want you to look at it from a different angle. Are they ready? And why are their emotions showing up? Why are they that upset? Are we asking, why are children so upset? Why is grade 2, grade 3 students so upset? Why are they upset? Because their systems are offline. They don't feel safe. They feel confused. They're consuming things that are not age appropriate, maybe. There's so many reasons. So to just, seeing those behavior and think we have to give them consequence, and we feel like disrespected. Sometimes some of these behaviors feel like they will look like disrespect for adults, and it could trigger us. So what's the takeaway today? I just want you to notice. I just want you to notice in children, students that you are with. I just want you to notice, instead of its behavior, instead of calling it a behavior, what if the system is off? What if this biological system is triggered and it's offline? It's in crisis. What if all of those things that they're showing you are signals? What can we do with that? Lots of compassion, right? At that point, we won't even talk about consequences when we have so much compassion. That's the lens I want all of you to look at our students, all of you to look at your children with. They're living in a world that's very changing. It's unpredictable. There's lots going on in their life. I know we would say it happened to us too. Yeah, of course it happened to us too. A lot of things went on when I was young too, but I think there's a lot more going on now than we know. So that is what I want to share with you today, is to really change the lens from we need to give these child consequence so they learn from it. They don't learn from it. And I want you to go back to your own childhood to see, did you learn from it? Be honest. Be honest. Did you learn from it? If I'm honest, I would have to say I learned, but I was so afraid. Usually I learn, I don't know if I'd call that learned, but I learned to be afraid of adults. And we don't want kids to be afraid of adults, right? We want them to learn from it. We want them to show them how their actions are not appropriate in certain situations, right? Environment. So here are the steps again. First of all, being aware and noticing of our own action, because we're also biological system, living system with all these systems working for us or against us. So first we need to get home to ourselves and calm. So one of the exercises I told earlier when I started this, coming here and now, helps with that. But then really the order is regulate the child's all systems first, get them calm, make them feel safe, make them feel understood, and then talk about the consequence. And then reflect and ask them, show them how to take responsibility, but guide them. Guide them. They need lots of guidance. Our kids, our students need a lot of guidance. And they respond really well when they know that you're calm and you're trying to guide them versus you're trying to impose a consequence on them. Then we become like a police officer, right? Whereas when I'm guiding, when I'm there to guide them, they see I'm calm. I'm not policing them. I'm going to show them that I understand your system is off, that I understand this is why you did what you did, but we need to reflect on it because it's hurt somebody, or it's hurting me, or it's not, appropriate for what we are here to do in the classroom. So let's think about that. Let's reflect on it. And how are you going to take responsibility? Now, because they're online, they can actually work with you with that guidance, with your calmness. They can actually work through that. And you'll see big difference. And some of you might say, it won't work for my child. Some of you might say, it doesn't work for my student. I want to challenge you to try it. But when you try it, you have to calm yourself first. You cannot guide them from your system not in alignment, your system's not in alignment, or your system's not calm. And maybe your system is offline. If we do that, when systems are offline and we try to guide people, that's when it feels hard. Otherwise, the guidance actually feels very, very powerful and enjoyable. So I'll leave you with this today. In traditional systems and traditional parenting, traditional way of thinking about it, we control behavior. That way of parenting, that way of being a teacher or principal, even, administrators, that's gone. We can't do that anymore. Maybe it worked in the past with, compliance, but now it doesn't work. So that's why we're going to see more big behaviors, because if our students are already in that overwhelmed, protected mode, anything we say is going to trigger them more. We're not going to be able to teach them about the consequence. So what do we need to do? We need to try to understand the human behind the behavior. And more importantly, we need to go back to understanding that we're all biological systems, made out of biological systems that is working together to keep us going and keep us running. And when those systems are off or suppressed, we can't express ourselves in the right way. We're going to express ourselves in the wrong way, which is behaviors, which in my language are signals. So let's help our students. Let's help our child, your child at home. But compassion, the lens is compassion. I want you to look through the compassionate lens rather than consequence. And send me a message, drop a message or comment, give me a comment. It helps me. And if you have any questions, if you're dealing with big emotions, and if you're dealing with consequence, and it's upsetting you that kids are, not having any consequences, they're just walking away, they're just getting away with it. This is what I hear from teachers and parents, right? My child just getting away with everything they do. They're just getting away with it. Is that helping your family or your classroom when you go into that route? No, it gets worse, right? Because we are going to get distance, because they're going to start distancing themselves away from us, and we are not going to be close enough to guide them. They need our guidance. So behaviors are signals, and our systems are their systems are signaling us, and that's what behaviors are. And before we can, well, first we need to understand that before we can lay the consequences on them. So thank you for watching. I'll be here next tomorrow as well. If you have any questions, any comments, leave them below this video and I will answer them too. Any questions? Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.